If you've been playing fingerstyle guitar for any amount of time, you may be at the point where you can play certain standard repertoire pieces for fingerstyle guitar. And if you're at that point, you may be wondering, well, what can I do to make these songs sound more like my own version, more like my take on the song? In this lesson, I want to suggest one really simple idea for doing that, and that is to rethink the basic foundational groove of the song itself. That may sound like a tricky thing to do, but it's not as hard or as weird as it sounds. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So every genre seems to have its set pieces, the certain tunes that you need to work through to feel like you're learning that style. And so for fingerstyle blues, it can be things like Freight Train or maybe Buck Dancer's Choice, things like that, Windy and Warm. For me, a lot of the tunes I learned technique from and learned like the chord shapes and the ideas from were 60s folk revival era blues records. So like the first Hot Tuna record, that Dave Van Ronk record, Sunday Street, some of Stephen Grossman and John Renborn's things. In this lesson, I'm going to use one of those, it's a Hot Tuna tune. It's really, obviously older than that. Hesitation Blues. A lot of people learn the Yorma version, which is an alternating thumb version. So in this lesson, I want to show you how to take that apart and recast it as a steady bass tune so that you can open it up and do some other things with it. So the basic tune is really a 12-bar blues in C, where the first 4 bars are in A minor instead of C. So you've got this rocking between A minor and E for 3 bars. And then in the 4th bar, you go from A minor to C7, which takes you over to F, which is the 4 chord at the beginning of bar 5. And then you're basically in a blues in C. And then beginning of bar 9, here comes the 5 chord. 4, 5, 1, and then maybe a turnaround. Except that we got to get back to A minor, so at the end of the 12th bar, we're going to go to E. And it's typically done as an alternating thumb kind of groove. And there are a couple of signature licks in there. But mostly, it's a vocal tune, and you sing the melody over that groove. But if you want to, A, change up the groove, and B, make it a little more open improvising, and C, play it as an instrumental, like play the melody. If you change it to a steady bass groove, it allows you to do all of those things. And it's not going, because the chords are changing every 2 bars, it's not going to be, 4 beats on A minor over and over again. It's going to be 2 beats on A and 2 beats on E at the beginning of the 12-bar form. So you're going to have and then you're into the 4 chord, where you could sit on the F, or you could rock between the root and the 5th of the F. And then same thing, C for 2 beats, G, maybe even walk up to the 5 chord. And that would let you start to play the melody. And so now you get the bass and the melody. now the melody's up here, so we're maybe gonna have to play a G in this position, go to a D, which is the 5 of G, and then back to G again. And then maybe up here to get an F chord with the melody bit that we need, and a G up here to get that melody bit, and one more G down here. And finally, we might want to harmonize the melody with notes on the 3rd string. So there's the melody, and it's got that steady bass groove, and that means that if you want to go improvise on it, you can start to do that using that same sort of rocking bass between 2 beats on the 1, 2 beats on the 5, and all of that. And so on. So by taking it apart and looking at the chords, playing the steady bass, and then looking at just the melody and figuring out like how to voice the chords so that you can get the melody when it goes out of open position, and then finally harmonizing the melody with some sixths, you can start to basically rearrange the song so it's still recognizable as Hesitation Blues, but it doesn't feel like that alternating thumb version that everybody else plays. So that's the idea. And of course, you could do this with other tunes as well. The important thing is to look at the song as music, something you can take apart into a melody and a chord progression and a groove so that you can lay those elements out in front of yourself and go, how do I want to put these elements back together? And that is a really important step in freeing yourself up from feeling like you have to play things exactly like you memorize them, like you learned them by rote from the record or from the tab or from another musician, and start to be able to reimagine the songs that you love in a way that feels personal to you. So this is, of course, exactly the kind of thing I teach every month in my membership, the Fingerstyle 5. So if you are a fingerstyle blues guitar player interested in learning how to rearrange tunes, strengthen your right hand groove, learn to improvise, or just take traditional tunes and do more interesting and involved things with them, I encourage you to check out my membership, the Fingerstyle 5, at the link below or the link on screen. If you've got a question or comment about today's lesson, please leave it down below. I would love to hear from you. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.